Hollywood's not an easy industry to be a part of, and its pressure has led many stars to an untimely death. Even though there's been more awareness and a bigger emphasis on mental health, things can still be a bit too much for the normal person. In today's video, we're looking at the heartbreaking death of a beloved actress, what happened to her, and why it took so long to discover. First up, here's where you may have seen Lindsay. Lindsay Pearlman was a Chicago native who was trained in acting at the Second City Conservatory before moving on to some pretty high-profile roles on TV. You might remember her as Joy Fletcher if you're a Chicago Fire fan, as she had a 5-episode arc on the show. Her career mainly consisted of guest starring roles on big shows, and a few of these include Empire, which also starred Taraji P. Henson and Terrence Howard, and the long-running favorite, General Hospital. She also had guest roles in Sneaky Pete, American Housewife, and The Purge, before moving to recurring roles on shows like Vicious, Selena, The Series, and The Miss Pat Show. She was obviously a well-liked actress with significant roles, especially more upbeat ones, so when she suddenly disappeared out of nowhere, her family and fans were immediately confused and worried, but the truth was much worse than they thought. Next, here's when she was last seen. In February of 2022, Lindsay was reported missing by her family in Los Angeles. She had last been seen on February 13th and hadn't returned home or contacted anyone. Her family was concerned, and they began to look for her. Her cousin, Savannah Pearlman, even tweeted saying the actress's phone was last pinged on Sunset Boulevard and a missing person case was filed with the LAPD. Lindsay was still nowhere to be found, and then a bigger star stepped in to help, Elaine Hendricks, best known for her iconic roles on Dynasty and The Parent Trap, tweeted Lindsay's missing person flyer, clarifying the details on it, asking her followers to help with the search. It had been several days, and there was still no sign of her. None of the actress's followers had any idea where she was, and the family was getting more and more worried. So where was she finally found? Finally, the search came to an end in the worst way possible. Lindsay was found in her car, but sadly, she wasn't alive. The car was parked near the entrance of Runyon Canyon Park in Hollywood, less than 2 miles away from where she was last seen before going missing. But the strange part was that the cause of death was never revealed. The actress had been alone and hadn't been acting strange in the days leading up to her death. One day, out of nowhere, she was gone. Her loved ones were understandably heartbroken and shocked, with their representatives asking the public to give them privacy in such a difficult time. Her husband, Van Smith, later confirmed the news on Instagram, adding that he was heartbroken. Savannah, her cousin, posted a tweet later on sharing the number of the National Suicide Hotline. She explained that Lindsay's sister had wanted her to share it with as many people as possible, and added that nobody was ever truly alone. Elaine also added to her tweet, updating her followers on the sad news and requesting that they send her friends family love. General Hospital producer Frank Valentini also posted in honor of the ex-star, remembering how great she was on the show. Lin Chen, the former soap opera actress, also paid tribute to Lindsay by posting a picture of her with some pets and saying she'd always remember her that way. The family also mentioned that donations could be made to Sante Dior, an LA animal rescue center. And finally, we know how it happened. Over 6 months after her passing, there was still no official cause of death announced for the actress. The autopsy had been carried out, and quite a while had passed, but her fans and loved ones were none the wiser as to how it happened. The natural response was suicide, and now we know exactly how it happened. The death has officially been ruled a suicide, specifically by sodium nitrite toxicity. Low levels of the chemical can cause things like nausea and vomiting, while high levels are fatal, as they were in Lindsay's case. She was also found with non-toxic levels of lorazepam, metoclopramide, and codeine in her system. This meant she had taken enough pills of each kind to overdose and end her life. It was then discovered that the actress had been suffering from on and off depression for many years, and sometimes it got too much for her to handle. Despite her successful career and being surrounded by many loved ones, she couldn't overcome her illness. Later, it was found that she had actually left 2 suicide notes, one in her room and one in her car, a while before she went missing. Her instructions were that anyone who found her body should immediately call 911. Unfortunately, though, her body was found in her car by a hiker who just came to have a closer look, discovered what had happened, and immediately called the police. The news has come as a huge shock to all of Hollywood, and it's just another reminder of how toxic the industry actually is and how far it can push a person until they end it all. Plus, she's not the only one in Chicago to leave early. The One Chicago franchise includes several TV shows following people working and living in Chicago, and it's been widely successful since it started airing almost a decade ago with a devoted fan following. However, it seems that tragedy follows the cast passed around. Lindsay is one of the most recent actors who've been in the franchise to die, and here's some other big ones you might remember. Anne Hetch had a recurring role on Chicago PD as Deputy Superintendent Catherine Brennan. Her character popped up in seasons 6 and 7, and she quickly became one of the best-liked characters on the show. She passed away in August of 2022 after being in a coma for a week following a devastating car crash. Dushan Monique Brown played Connie on Chicago Fire, and she was another fan favorite in her role as Chief Bowden's assistant. Her 2018 death was shocking for everyone as she succumbed to sepsis. Molly Glenn was on the same show with a much smaller role as an ER doctor. Keeping in line with these shocking and unexpected deaths, she was killed by a tree that fell on her after being struck by lightning. And General Hospital isn't safe either. Lindsay's passing was also the latest in a series of tragedies that had struck the cast for the long-running General Hospital series. One of the stars, Jack Wagner, had said an early goodbye to his son Harrison just a few months after Lindsay's body was discovered. He'd been known to struggle with drug addiction, but had been working on it in the months leading up to his unexpected death, after which he was found in a parking lot. In his last Instagram post that got way sadder after his passing, he urged his followers to focus on themselves, emphasizing the fact that nobody is there for anyone but themselves. And now, let's move on to what else happened in Hollywood. We said goodbye to another beloved star. 2022 has definitely been a sad year for Hollywood, and we've said goodbye to many big names for many different reasons. One of the most heartbreaking deaths of the year was Olivia Newton-John, the Aussie blonde best known for her role as Sandy in the iconic movie Grease, opposite John Travolta. She also had a glittering career as a singer, with hits like I Honestly Love You, Physical, and of course, Hopelessly Devoted to You. She died in August at age 73 after a long and tough battle with breast cancer, something she battled several times over the course of her life. She was also an advocate in the fight against breast cancer, and she left behind one of the biggest legacies a star can hope for. Next, Hollywood is definitely not the happiest place on earth. It's no secret that many people in the spotlight struggle with mental illness of some sort, brought on by the pressure of their careers. One of the major issues is depression, and many celebrities have been open about their struggle with it. Some faces you might not have expected include rapper Kanye West, actor and singer Demi Lovato, ex-First Lady Michelle Obama, Ben Affleck, Pete Davidson, and even another Empire star, Taraji P. Henson. These are just a few of the many names starting the much-needed conversation around mental health. Last but not least, the Empire has been having legal trouble. Seems like the show's got its handful with issues of its own. Sophia Eggleston, an author, believed that Cookie Lyons, played by Taraji P. Henson, was based on her. She sued Fox for it, but the odds weren't in her favor, as Michigan court ruled that Cookie's character had nothing at all to do with her memoir and life story. That's a wrap for this video. What was your favorite Lindsay Pearlman role? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.